Hello there. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shrikant Acharya, and I want to welcome you to the 29th episode of Employee Engagement Live. Woohoo! All right. So, once again, welcome to the 29th episode of Employee Engagement Live. I'm Shrikant Acharya. I'm the CEO at OfferNeeds.com. OfferNeeds is a leading corporate gifting and merchandise company based in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai. Before I invite today's guest, and she's a bundle of energy. And before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about what Employee Engagement Live is, why we do it, and why we've reached the 29th episode. So this started as an initiative around the time when the pandemic hit, a few months after the pandemic hit, and by because of the nature of work that we do, which is into corporate gifts and merchandise, we had the opportunity to work very closely with senior HR and corporate communication professionals and realized that employee engagement is a brand new challenge. Employee engagement was always challenging, but with remote working, with hybrid working, and all of these things kicking in, it was becoming even more challenging for organizations to engage with employees. Plus, added the challenges that came with the pandemic, the the COVID cases and the personal tragedies that were happening around people's lives and business getting impacted and all of that stuff. So that's why I started this initiative where I started interviewing seasoned HR, corporate communication professionals, and business leaders and asking them about their ideas, philosophies, their anecdotes, their examples, and their experiences around employee engagement. So, with that said, let me introduce you to today's guest. We have with us today Shikha Gupta, who's currently the head of talent acquisition at Syndigo Bangalore. She's got a total of about 22 years of experience working in the HR domain, and she's earlier worked with companies like Winwire, Wipro, OnMobile, Tally, First Consulting Group, Oracle, and NIT. What really mesmerized me with her LinkedIn profile is that she's super active, extremely high quality content, great engagement. I can say she's kind of a social media influencer in the HR domain, is what I would say. But what I'm really touched by is the kind of volunteering that she's doing. She's the state president of Karnataka Human Resource Council at Wiki, which is Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She's a TED Circles host. She's an ambassador of the Top Person, which is an international business, politics, and NGO magazine, and a global charity with Hub. She's the leader at a global HR leadership. She's the head talent hub India for women in tech, and there are like 19 other things which she is doing, which is and all of it which she is super active in. So with that said, welcome Shikha to Employee Engagement Live. How are you doing today, Shikha?
Thank you so much, Shrikant, for a rather larger than life introduction. It felt so good. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you this evening?
Doing awesome, thank you so much. All right, so let's start straight with the first question that I ask every single guest that I have on my show. What, according to you, Shikha, is employee engagement?
Employee engagement, according to me, is a very cliched term, right? We've been hearing it for donkey's years now. But I think the real sense or the real meaning of employee engagement is managing and taking care of your people in the organization, right? Just as a head of the family takes care of the family, right? We as HR business partners, HR professionals have to look after, hire, retain, nurture, grow our employees in our different business units, departments, and teams, right? A happy employee delivers more, performs better, creates positivity. So why not have happy faces everywhere rather than, disgruntled, unhappy people, which leads to a lot of negative energy. So to me, HR itself, human, right? Human resources. So we are people who take care of humans, right? We're dealing with people. And that's why I think this is one of the most important functions in any organization tree, any organization structure, because it's about people.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's really well said. So, Before we go any further, I want to thank and welcome everybody who's joining us from LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. I see Ella Mary Rivero who's saying hello, Shikha. Hi, Ella. Hope you're doing great. Um, so all those anybody who's joined here from LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, this is going to be really really interesting. I encourage you to keep a pen and paper handy because you're going to find a lot of golden nuggets in this interview. And a little later I'm going to ask you to put any questions that you might have for Shikha in the comments, and we'll try to get Shikha to answer that. So with that said, Shikha, I found your kind of role about HR, which you spoke about, quite interesting and quite apt. You spoke about hiring, retaining, nurturing, and growing talent within the organization, right? So these are kind of different life cycles of an employee within the organization. So during which phase do you think employee engagement is more important? Is there such a thing that during this phase it's important? If yes, which is it? If not, how do you handle it differently in different phases?
You know what? Most of us believe, and that's a very nice question. Thank you for asking me that. And I'm great. I'm happy to say that I'm on a public platform and you gave me this opportunity to answer. Most of us believe that employee engagement starts when the candidate joins. No,
Right.
doesn't start there. It starts the moment you put somebody through the interview process, right? How does this person sail through different rounds of interview, finally reach an HR offer stage, finally accepts the offer, and then you start doing that engagement piece? It starts right there. Because if he believes and trusts in your process, the way you come across as an HR person, right? And you're not representing you're representing the brand you're associated with. It could be IT, non-IT, product, services, anything, right? So it is not Shikha Gupta talking to somebody, it is Syndigo talking to somebody, right? So engagement for me starts right from there, right?
Mm.
Sometimes we wonder, the best of our candidates don't join, and today that's the scenario, right? So managing this individual right from the interview stage and then make him join, that's one piece of engagement for me, right? That's called
Mm.
managing the candidate engagement, onboarding him, keeping him excited.
Mm.
That's what we do, right? Recruiters connect, we get connect calls organized with the business leaders and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And once he becomes an employee, then that's the second piece of engagement that starts off, right? Then you start taking care of the employee life cycle, his training needs, his performance management. Then we do a bunch of employee engagement activities, and
Yeah.
beyond those activities there are different forums where people actually voice out, right? There are grievance forums, or there are skip level meetings, roundtable discussions, multiple avenues through which you engage with this employee to understand what is his pulse, right? ESAT
Mm.
survey is another great method. So that's how
Yeah.
you engage, right? And HR does their bit, but I think a lot of engagement comes from the respective reporting manager. Every manager has to be a passive HR manager, if not active, at least passive, because the buck starts there, right?
Right.
If there is an issue, right, the buck starts there. And we all know, I mean, multiple uh, leading leaders have said it, people don't leave companies, people leave managers. So it starts there. So every manager, if he plays a passive HR manager, right, that's another form of engagement, right? And then you take care of the entire employee life cycle, right? All his different steps. And then while he's leaving, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever the reason may be, a happy employee who's happy with your exit process is somebody who's going to come back someday.
Mm.
If you are, I mean, that piece of engagement is also very important, and most of us ignore it. Anyway, he's serving notice period, anyway he's going to leave, so we stop his bonuses, we stop his appraisal, we stop his incentive, we stop calling him for important meetings, we ask him to start transitioning, we ask him to start interviewing, and then the operational bit of it, okay, go to 5 different departments, get your exit form signed off, do your handover. That process in a lot of organizations is very painful.
Mm.
If the exit is painful, the person will never want to come back. and that's something I have experienced personally, right? You make
Right.
it a happy exit, and if he is not disgruntled with the organization, your mission, your vision, your values, someday he will come back because he finds home, right?
Yeah.
Then the entire engagement piece, right, from when he was a candidate to a employee, and then to an employee who's serving notice, all of that is engagement for me. How the
Mm.
employee has traversed in his entire journey through this organization, all of it is engagement. There are multiple touch points. I know
Yeah.
that's a very long answer, but to me that's what it is. Yeah.
I think it's a very aptly said, and you right like what you rightly said. I think two important pieces which get missed out is the employer brand building, which plays a role in employee engagement even before he or she applies the or applies for a job role or starts to attend interviews, all the way up to the exit formalities. And irrespective of whether that person wants to come back in future or not, he'll definitely, if that exit formality is not good, he'll definitely not even refer somebody. Otherwise, if the exit formality is good, you might refer some friends saying, hey, there's an opening here, and have a good relationship. I think that's great points that you said. I
Just
noticed.
to just to add to that, Shrikant, even at the entry point, right? Today, the number of offer declines and no shows is very high, right?
Yeah.
I may not decide to join you today, but I may decide to join you a couple of months down the line, or I may decide to refer somebody for the role. It all depends ultimately how you treat people. What kind of
Yes.
experiences do they take back? Whether the guy is a select, or a reject, or a no show, or a decline, what experience
Mm.
does he carry with him talks a lot about the employer brand, right? Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely agree with you on that. So I noticed you used happy employees and happiness quite a few times in your vocabulary, right? So clearly you're a very happy person. I love the smile you have on. But you don't usually use the word happiness. You speak about employee satisfaction and things like that. So what does happiness mean to you in a work context, and how do you make sure you have happy employees?
Absolutely. I mean, happiness is probably say step one, and
Mhm.
satisfaction could be step two. Let me define. So for me, a happy employee would be somebody who has, a good challenging work environment, good set of peers to work with, good projects to work on, good assignments and all that. He's excited enough, right? He wakes up every single morning and says, "Yay, I have to go to work." Or I have to achieve this, or I have a client deliverable, or I have a UAT, or I have something, right? Rather than, oh no, it's morning again, I have to report to work. The mindset matters a lot. And
Right.
for him to be happy, you
Mhm.
know, good working environment, a good working culture is the most important, followed by
Yeah.
a good boss, right?
Mm.
Satisfaction, I think, comes in when he's also excited with the kind of appraisals he's seeing, promotions
Right.
he's seeing, right? Then he's like, yes, I have a good team, I have a good manager, I have decent appraisals, I have a lot of learning and growth opportunities, which, we are all talking about upskilling, reskilling, and all of that, right? That is where ultimate job satisfaction comes in. And tomorrow, if I want a role change after 18 months or 24 months, I have a brilliant IJP, internal job posting process, where I can apply, give interviews in the same organization and move ahead, and either move horizontally or move
Yeah.
vertically, right? So all these factors contribute to, the satisfaction mindset, or the job satisfaction mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Really well said. There's another point that I picked up from what you were saying. You spoke about reporting managers being playing a very important role in employee retention and satisfaction, and you spoke about reporting managers becoming passive HR managers. I'm sure this is sounding like music to ears of the HR professionals who are listening here, who are attending this live. How do you make that happen? That sounds like too much of an ask, right? The reporting managers have enough on their plate already. It was never part of their JD that they have to be passive HR managers. So how do you make that happen?
And I will give you live examples or exact examples of during my career history how this has happened, right? Now, you have
Okay.
multiple teams in any organization. Now,
Correct.
we did notice a phenomenon that, attrition in some of the two teams was very high versus in the others it was not. Now, there's something which is going right in those teams which are not
Mm,
facing any attrition, where you have happy employees, right?
mm,
The revenue growth is higher, the sales is the higher, right? Everything seems to be on an upward curve versus, some other team where everything seems to be declining, right?
mm,
So what did we do? We had given a same mandate to all the teams, saying that weekly at least once you should have, say, a roundtable discussion, right? Or
mm,
once in a fortnight, right, with the entire team, which does not mean that you have to collect a list of complaints from employees. Have a healthy discussion, you know
mm,
it could be about their goals, aspirations as a team. What is it that they want to achieve, deliver, and stuff like that? How do we make the relationship with the client better? Generally, chit chat with a little bit of brainstorming and work. Second thing
right.
that we advised to these teams was do one-on-ones, right? With your employees. Yes, you have enough on your plate, but then a 20 minutes, 15 minutes coffee chit chat can make that difference. And it was very clear teams which were following these mandates
Mm,
knew. So, for example, if I am working with you, Shrikant knew that Shikha has a problem. She's not happy. I need to do
mm,
something about it. Maybe, not give her a permanent solution, but let's start with a temporary solution. I think a solution based approach or mindset really works versus the other teams which were not very regular with their one-on-one meetings, which were not regular with their fortnightly roundtables. They were just driving numbers, targets,
mm,
targets, targets. That's it. So life becomes like a machine. And the
mm,
data was very evident. People want to be heard. I don't need a solution all the time. I just need somebody to talk to.
mm,
It's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? So teams which were following this discipline of roundtables or weekly one-on-ones whatsoever had lesser attrition, right?
mm,
And happy employees, to go back to that, versus the other teams where, the leadership style was very dictators kind of a style, one way communication, right? There is no two-way communication and so on and so forth, right? So I
mm,
think those were the two tips that I had shared from my end. Some choose to follow, and we did not mandate it because,
mm.
like you said, managers have enough on their plate.
Yeah.
And third, it comes to the personality type, Shrikant. I am somebody who loves to, or who likes to take care of my people, versus
Mm,
I am somebody who's just workaholic, who's focused on work. I don't
mm,
care whether, my people are feeling fine or not. Really, for me, customer matters, deliverables matter, targets matter, right? So third, it's also the personality type. Then
yeah.
what we did was certain people were moved out of those manager roles and were put in
Mm,
IC roles. And certain people took it well because they were happy to say, look, I have only my responsibility. I don't have to take care of
right.
these people who I was. They were eating up my time, bandwidth. So this is some, how do you say, reorg or reshuffling that we did. We moved them
Mm,
to individual contributor roles and brought in people who were more people friendly or, manager kind of attitude, who would take those positions, right?
mm,
Some things work, some things don't work, but then the bottom line is we have to keep trying.
mm. Right. Right.
It was
Awesome.
amazing to see some people being very happy playing IC role, where,
Yeah.
in today's world we've all heard we all aspire to become managers, but
Yes.
people are
Yeah.
happy doing IC roles because it's
I
just
think that's a
them.
fantastic point that you brought up, Shikha, because typically when you speak about, I'm growing in my organization, that typically means that how many people are reporting to me, right? But there are a lot of people who are great individual contributors, and you're probably burdening them. We saw Sachin Tendulkar was a fantastic player, but never a great captain, right? And once the captainship burden was passed on to somebody, he again went on to becoming a fantastic batsman. But in the Indian context, I've seen that it's important that as you're growing, that means you need to have more people under the reporting to you, irrespective of whether you're good at it or not, irrespective of whether you enjoy it or not. So that's a great point that you mentioned, that it's
So you
important to identify. When somebody does not enjoy doing that, give them an individual contributor role.
You beautifully said it, Shrikant. Look at the US culture, right?
Yeah.
You have so many people who've been in the industry for 12, 13, 14, 15 years, specialize in one domain, are happy
Right.
being individual contributors, and are doing extremely well in life. They're not
Mhm.
hungry for power. They're not hungry for people. They're not hungry for, oh, I am the king and I need a kingdom, right?
Right.
The American culture or the British culture, right? Especially on the technical side, you have all these tech architects or enterprise architects or solution architects who are very happy even after 15 years of experience, 18 years of experience. They're domain specialists and they're happy
Yeah.
doing what they're doing,
Correct.
right? Power, I mean, growth does not mean people. Power,
Yeah.
span of control, yeah, very well
Yeah,
put here.
absolutely. Well said. Awesome. Thank you very much. We have quite a full audience here. Ella, Bhavya, Mahesh, Aisha, Ishan Pandit, and Mohammed Hisham. Thank you very much for your participation. Now is a great time. If you have any questions, please type it out there and let's ask Shikha to answer. I see Hisham has asked a question about managers as passive managers. Actually, what Shikha meant was uh, reporting managers working as passive HR managers or part-time HR managers, not necessarily as passive HR managers. Is that correct, Shika? There's a question from Hisham. He's asking
Yeah.
managers as passive managers. Is there a possible drawback for this? Do you want to answer anything before we move
Sure.
ahead?
It's good to hear these names. Most of these are my LinkedIn connects. Thank you guys for being there with us today. What I meant, Isham, was I'm a project manager. Yes, I am responsible for a customer deliverable. I have a certain target. Fair enough. But then passive HR manager means, that did I lose you? I'm okay. Okay. So I'm a project manager,
Oh,
or
we're
I'm an
good. We're good. Please continue.
okay, product manager, whatever. That's my primary job responsibility. When I say play a passive HR manager role, talk to your people, do those one-on-ones, show empathy, sit down for 5 minutes and say, hi, how are you? How's your family doing? Is everything okay at home? It's not always work, 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 work. Be human, right? And in one of those conversations, somebody will break up and say, my mother is not keeping well, or there's a challenge at home. Can you please give me some time off, and so on and so forth. Or, there are a lot of feelings that you accumulate inside. Employees do accumulate because managers are not approachable. All that comes out in those meetings. So you're preventing somebody from resigning or somebody from leaving by just being human, by being there for him. That is what an HR person does, right? Exit interviews are too late to save people, but managers are the first people who can save their people from leaving, right? I
Yeah,
hope I
absolutely.
answered. There's
Perfect.
no
Really, really
drama.
well said. So,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I want to ask you, Shikha. I'd like you to share from your total experience of almost 2+ decades, three strategies that you've seen being put into action that gave very high employee engagement results or great improvement in employee engagement. Any three examples or three strategies that you saw, or your favorite three strategies?
Yes, one is this that I just spoke about, right? When we noticed attrition going up in certain teams, structured
Mhm.
roundtables and structured one on one meetings, and that
Mhm.
seemed to work. Another thing that we did in COVID, and we did it very early. This was, I think, way back in April 2020 itself, that we started doing these virtual happy lunches, happy hours, so that people don't start feeling alienated, right? Which a lot of
Mhm.
organizations started a little late. I mean, me being happy, like you said, I walked up to my boss and said, you know what, every Friday everybody has to take 30 minutes off as a coffee break, a virtual happy hour, or as a lunch break, and we'll sponsor Swiggy, Zomato coupons and all of that. Let them not feel that they're, in this one room life. Let's be connected. And then soon after that, I think, yes, we started all those online activities which most of us are doing, but I think we were the first ones to start those virtual meetings very early, because after
Mhm.
2 weeks or 3 weeks itself, that boredom or that fatigue, Zoom fatigue, all of that came into place to say, okay, it's just me and my room and my laptop. I don't have a single individual to even chit chat. So that was the
Mm,
second thing. Third, I think what we did was we also started doing a monthly town hall very early, right?
mm,
Normally, uh, what we would do, only had a quarterly R&R, right, which would
mm,
happen once a quarter, and it would happen in person. But now, when COVID set in, we said, okay, we are not able to see anybody, so let's do those monthly town halls, right, where it's open. It's an open forum where people can ask questions to the CEO, to the leadership team, and so on and so forth. And the single rule for that town hall was everybody has to switch on the camera, right? if
mm.
you if you don't want to switch on the camera, then don't join the town hall. And it was amazing to see that people came up in big way and joined
Yeah.
these town halls, and it was awesome to be with some 500, 600 people. Yes, the windows were very small, but it worked well. I think our first town hall happened on the 40th day of COVID. Yeah, and
Mm.
that was the first time all of us were seeing each other after 40 days.
Right.
So
Right.
I think these three things worked well. And then we continued along those
Right.
lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds super good. So I have a question to ask you, Shikha, and I ask this to a lot of people with almost two plus decades of experience. How have you seen the role of HR change? Has employee engagement? You said employee engagement is a term that's been used for very long time. So how has the one HR role? How has it changed over the last 20 years? Two, how has the um, employee expectation changed over the last 20 odd years, and how has employee engagement itself as a concept and as a strategy changed over the last 20 years?
Fantastic. HR, I think the biggest transformation HR has seen is that HR is no more a back end support function. HR
Yeah.
is a function which partners with business, right?
Right.
Whether you do hiring, it has to be just in time hiring. Whether you manage people, right? Everything has to be at the speed at which the business runs. The biggest thing is HR is not a function which is meant to celebrate Diwalis, holies, rangolis, whatnot. HR is much more than somebody, is not somebody who just processes payroll, right? Or gives very little budgets to do salary hikes, all the dirty work. HR is not a function which fires people, but HR is a function which truly takes care of its people. I think that's the biggest transformation we've seen.
Mm,
I remember when we started our careers, people used to say, Acha, theek hai, why not join HR? Anyway, there's no travel, there are no late nights.
mm,
It's a very cushy job, aram se desk job and all that. Gone are those days. HR is, I mean, working 24 by 7, especially in COVID. We
yeah.
have multi geography roles, right? We handle different territories. We travel across the country to do employee engagement programs, initiatives, town halls. So that's the biggest change. And I'm so glad that HR has got a seat with the business. Yes, it's been a hard journey, but yes, so we are at part. That's the biggest thing. Second, employing, not only employee engagement, Shrikant, the whole HR function. I couldn't imagine, hiring over Zoom, right? All the functions, right? From hiring
Right.
to employee engagement, doing exit interviews on Zoom. I mean, even if I have to pat the guy's shoulder and say, relax, calm down, life is not so bad, you can't do it because everything is online. So
You have to send
like
emojis.
like in the town hall, we say clap. So some people are sitting and doing this, and the others are pressing the clap button. Right? It's become so every bit of HR has transformed from doing everything, in person to doing everything online. Right from hiring to letting go. I don't use the word firing. I don't like it. So right from
Right.
hiring to letting go, everything has
Right.
become online, and we've become intelligent enough to come up with different thoughts, different ideas. Because over a period of time, what happens, Shrikant, even employee engagement online becomes boring.
Mm,
So you have to
yeah.
keep innovating. So we
Mm,
recently said we'll do a cooking contest. So everybody made some, dish at home, sent us videos and pictures, and then, unfortunately, you can't taste the food. But then that brought in a lot of excitement to say, okay, yes, we should do
yeah.
something like that. So from in person to online, and the employee expectation, right? They don't have HR to, just stop at the cafeteria 4 o'clock. Look, I have an issue. My tax has got, mera zyada tax cut gaya. You've, I need to sort out my payroll problem. I need to sort this. I need to talk to you. So all those conference room and corridor conversations have gone off the window. Today, the employee expectation is that HR has to be a little more accessible, because not
mm,
everybody is at home. You can't catch them off the corridor, in the gallery, at their desk, and sort your issues out. And especially with larger organizations, right, it's even more important. So accessibility, I think, yes, is a concern in certain employee segments. But yes, we are trying our best to, whatever response time, right, because you
mm.
don't see the person, you can't talk to her, you can't catch hold of her, right? So
Yeah,
I think those are the expectations, right? Availability, response time, that needs to be faster. And hopefully
right.
now that we're getting back to work very soon, finally, maybe in a
Mm.
month or two, offices are opening up, sun is shining, all of us are, I think this is going to improve. And that's why the
Yeah,
great resignation, right? There's no
yeah,
connect. Managers are
correct.
not able to connect as often. HR folks, we are not able to connect as often. I'm sitting at home. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to apply leave. I could be giving 5 different interviews in 5 different windows on my screen, grabbing
Yeah,
5 different offers. And that's the scenario today. So attrition has become a real pain point. This whole
yeah,
great resignation wave,
yeah. Great resignation and war for talent wave.
war for talent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is at war, Shrikant.
That's true. So I actually have a question, in continuation to a post that you put a couple of days back on LinkedIn, where you quoted Peter Drucker's quote, where you mentioned the only skill that will be important in the 21st century is the skill of learning new skill. Everything else will become obsolete over time, right? So clearly, I'm an absolute believer in the power of learning and development, and I want to ask you. Um, is L&D important, or how important is it for employee engagement, or is it just a tool that's just required because you need better employees? What is the connection between, is there a connection between learning and employee engagement?
No, Shrikant, L&D, yeah, now in COVID, we are focusing too much, or a little too much on that. But L&D has always been an integral part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been into campus recruitment for years and years together. And I've been telling these bachas, whichever campus I go to, whether it's an IIT or a B school, guys, learning every single day, staying
Mm,
relevant in the market is the only way. Survival of the fittest, right? Darwin's theory, right? Today you have so much of resistance. Oh, I'm a .NET guy, I don't want to learn Java, or I'm a
mm,
Java guy, I don't want to learn C sharp, right?
mm,
You have to break all these inhibitions, hesitations, and all that. Learning at any given point in time. Yes, I understand some people don't want to change technology stack or don't want to change their domain, but to stay relevant, to be able to be fungible across different teams, different projects, right? Learning is very important. And why only technology? HR has learned how to do everything online. I didn't imagine myself doing employee engagement initiatives online. It's a little weird, right? I would still prefer, my huge cafeteria cake cutting, birthday celebrations, and everybody singing and getting a piece of cake versus, doing all that virtually. So coming back to learning always has been the key. We've been hearing this since the time we were at school, right? You have to learn everything. You have to learn 2 new words in English every single day. You have to learn this, you have
yeah.
to learn that. As you grow up, college, you have to learn subjects. Now, when you've reached the job market, you have to keep acquiring different skills. And not only
Mm,
technology, it could be domain, technology, soft skills, life skills these days.
mm,
Right? Collaboration is a skill, empathy is a skill, right? All these have become skills because
mm,
it's required in today's context. And we HR folks as well have evolved a lot, right? Today, being more resilient, being more empathetic, I think has become human behavior, right? We humans appreciating family time,
mm.
because so many people have lost their loved ones, right? Life is so
Yeah,
unpredictable, right? So being more tolerant, being more patient, appreciating, all these are skills. Yes, it's a part of human behavior, but it's there somewhere. We've never exercised it. I'm sure all of
Mm.
us know how to be empathetic. We know how to be sympathetic or resilience. So life skills, business skills, everything is a learning today.
Yeah.
Every single day. Right?
Mm.
And the best way to learn is either talk to people, right? Like-minded people who who tickle your brain, who tickle your heart, who give you new thoughts. Watch inspiring videos by Shrikant on YouTube, which is true. I mean, you would do such amazing stuff, right? It gives you food for thought, right? Third is reading. Maybe LinkedIn is a great platform. People post
Yeah.
such wonderful content, right? So keep the fire inside always lighted up, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn, not because you will lose your job, but learning also enriches oneself,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
You become a better person at the end of the day, with
Right.
age, learning. Yeah,
Yeah. Perfect. So let's switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about employer brand building, right? Employer brand building, Glassdoor reviews and surveys and all of these kind of can kind of help you understand, where the employer brand is, because whether we like it or not, people are talking about joining, about the culture in the organization and all that stuff. So how what what role can HR play in improving employer brand building?
absolutely. I want to start with that statement that culture is not HR's responsibility.
Yeah.
Guys, whoever is listening to me, to us rather, culture is not HR's responsibility. Culture is every single individual's responsibility in the organization. Who makes culture? Who defines culture? We define culture. The way we behave, the way we carry ourselves, the way we play our different roles in the organization, right? So we are the people who define the culture. Now, employer branding, yes, every person looks at Glassdoor ratings, everybody looks at different reviews on different websites, but then I think, in my personal opinion, Shrikant, everything has to be taken with a pinch of salt, right? I'll give you a very simple analogy. Somebody says, and I'm not demeaning any of these institutes. Somebody says, you only get the best talent in tier 1 institutes, right? Tier 2, tier 3 institutes are not great because they hire the second slab of the percentile or third slab of the percentile. The best of the best talent is available only in tier 1 institutes. But there are sparks in those tier 2 institutes who happen to do so well in life, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, if you see some five, six, seven, I don't know how many unpleasant reviews about an organization, right? Can you not be that one person who brings the change?
Mm.
It all starts with us. Oh, why should I join? No, that's an easy way out. If you're happy with the role you've been offered, you're happy with the compensation, you're looking forward, right? By reading certain reviews, I mean, I don't know if I'm all convinced with the interview process and all that, I would go join. Now, as far as HR's role is concerned, yes, we do play a big role in terms of giving the right picture to the candidate. I always tell them, look, these are the five good things, but here's one not so good thing, which is you will need to know how to manage time, because
Mm.
we have a huge clientele in the US as well, right? So you will need to manage time between your India shift and a couple of calls here and there in the evening time. So the guy is
Right.
like, you know what? Nobody tells me all this.
Mm.
Everybody talks only about the good things. And as far as I am concerned, I would tell my HR professionals, fraternity, let's be transparent. At the end of the day, somebody sitting in front of you is making a career choice. We don't tell him today. He joins, he discovers it after a month, two or three. Then he's disgruntled, he's
Yeah.
spreading negativity, he's looking out, doesn't work. Being
Yeah.
transparent, telling all the right things to the candidate is the thing to do about your employer brand, about your wins, about
Mm.
your wonderful journey. But what is that one thing that could probably hurt him? There's no harm in sharing and discussing. And then he
Yeah.
takes a calculated call. whether he can make it or he cannot make it. Yeah, it could, you could run the risk of losing that candidate, but at least you were transparent. He doesn't come and sit on your head after joining saying that you didn't tell me all of this. Right? Because all of us, it's like a marriage, right? When the girl sees the boy and the boy sees the girl, they all talk about all the nice things that they have, but they always forget that ultimately once they get married to each other, they have to live with each other.
Hmm.
Right? This employee is now getting married to the organization for the next 1 or 2 years. So
Hmm.
might as well, in a very transparent fashion, tell him,
Yeah,
this is it.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
absolutely. So I want to ask you, can employees be brand ambassadors for their organization? If yes, what can you do as an HR to propel that, to make employees, to how do you turn employees into brand ambassadors?
See, not only HR, every single person working. I mean, there was this, I think pre COVID is what I noticed. There was this nice fashion about, hanging ID cards, right?
Mm,
And all the people who work with the bigger brands always carry their tag. You'll see it somewhere, either here or in the belt, or either they could be flaunting, that could be one. Second, they could be really proud of the organization they work for. Why not? Right?
mm,
You have to believe that you are working with the best. Unless that beliefs comes from within, you will not be able to sell it to somebody else. Unless I believe I am, because it's my call to join this organization, that
correct.
what salary, what role, what designation, right? And I have done enough research about the company. I know if I believe what is good about the organization and I believe in it, I can propel that positive energy. One thing I think, if you are asking me about tactical stuff, every organization has a great marketing team, and marketing team always has nice USPs about the organization that a lot of people don't know,
Mm,
right? Could be some recent wins, awards, some very unique selling proposition points which recruitment team uses with the
mm,
candidates, right? I think that information should be propelled across the organization. Say, hey, look,
right.
this is who we are, this is what we are, this is what we've won. Or maybe, a lot of organization investing in corporate social responsibility. Yeah, the leadership knows it, the mid management knows it, but that information percolate down? Maybe no. Why not share that information? So, internal communication, right? Internal communication
Mm,
across the organization about the employer brand is very important, so that it reaches to the last level, which is your software
right.
engineer trainee, right? That trainee is going in the market and saying, hey, look, I work with this wonderful company. It's not only a big brand name, but these are the things we do, right? So I think
Right.
up to mid management, most of us are aware, what a great company we work for. But does that information go to the last level? And those are our foot
Mm,
soldiers. These are our,
correct.
it's a pyramid structure, right? So the
Correct.
bottom layer needs to be the most informed about what
Yes.
is the employer brand value, because they are the
Absolutely.
ones who will hold the maximum talent or propagate
Correct.
that positive
Correct.
information. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. I think it's been amazing. We've got last couple of minutes. So I have my last question for you. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. And the last question I want to ask you is, what is the role of merchandise, corporate gifting, rewards and recognition, awards, all these kind of things? What role do they have to play in employer brand building, in creating brand ambassadors, and in employee engagement?
I am one person who says, I don't need the salary hike. If I have done good work, give me a certificate, which I'll cherish all my life. So to me, whether it's a trophy or it's an award or it's a certificate, I hold them very dearly, right? Yes, money is important. Money comes, money goes. But that recognition, winning a CEO award or winning a CHRO award, right, in some form, shape, or size for all the hard work that you have done is a
Right.
big high. It's a source of motivation, it's a source of inspiration, right? You always have it with you. I have them all in my room for my different organizations. And whenever I'm someday if I'm feeling low and I look at that, oh, Shikha, this is what you have earned. So you have to keep moving. It is
Mm.
very important. And these days, we are all on social media thanks to Corona, right? Corporate gifting, awards, trophies, rewards as a part of joining, right, is very important, right? Which
Mm.
comprises of the joining kit, right?
Yeah.
People post it on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and it creates ripples, right? I mean, social media is brilliant, especially LinkedIn. And some of these samples that we pick up, and most of the organizations go very carefully about choosing as to what it should look like. Should it be? I received something very beautiful today. It was a very pleasant surprise. Thank you so much for that. But it plays a
Awesome.
big role. I love the t-shirt that you're wearing, and wherever I have worked, I have used all these t-shirts. I think it's just about carrying the organization in your heart,
Yeah.
just the way
Uh,
all of us carry our parents in our heart. They're as
wow.
dear to us, right? So, I mean, wherever you're working, carry the organization in your heart. I'm a big
Right.
believer. I have always, I have, as in, gone to the last thing to say, this should be the font on my trophy. Can you give
Mm.
me another sample? Because that's how I want it to look. I need the
Right.
star to be placed here. I need the name to be placed like this. This should be the color combination because that's my brand value. It goes well with my logo. So to me, it's very important. And when somebody says, Shikha, great choice, yeah, it looks so awesome, or it looks so sexy, that's it, done. I mean, what else do you need at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's been amazing speaking to you, Shikha. Love your energy and keep smiling. It's been great speaking to you, and I want to thank everybody from the audience, whoever has joined on Facebook, YouTube, or on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. It's a Friday evening, and really appreciate you taking that time off and spending that time with us. With us. I really hope it's been uh, value for the time that you spent with us, Shikha. I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely, you've made my Friday again a happy Friday. Employee engagement, Shrikant, has always been close to my heart because I've been doing business partner roles since the time I was born in HR. So yes, and I continue to cherish this conversation, and I'm sure we'll have many more conversations in the future as well. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend and take care of yourself. And while trying to take great care of your employees, don't forget about yourself. Bye bye.
Thank you.